All right, so we have 30. Subtract 8 divided by the difference of 8 and 6 multiplied by 2 plus 6. All right, we know our order of operations. Parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, and these can go either way. So if you got divide first, then you do divide first. Add and subtract. Same as saying subtract and add, whichever comes first. That's what you do first. And when we do these problems, you guys drive me crazy because you try and do them in your head. And then in your head, you get them because you can't find. Okay? So make sure you work them out on paper. It kind of forms our little tornado looking thing. So we'll start with our parentheses because parentheses is first. 8 subtract 6 is 2. We have used this right here. So we bring down everything we have not yet used. Times 2 plus 6. Division sign 8. So now I have 30. Subtract 8 divided by 2 times 6 plus 2. Or 2 times 2 plus 6. Next, we have no parentheses. There's no exponents because we haven't learned how to do that yet. Multiply and divide from left to right. Well, we have division first. So we have to do the division first. 8 divided by 2 is 4. We've used this. Bring down what we have not yet used. Okay? No parentheses, no exponents. We do have multiplication. 4 times 2 is 8. Then we have plus, and we bring that. So we end up with 30 subtract 8 plus 6. Again, addition and subtraction, subtraction, addition. It's all the same step. You work from to right. So we go 30 minus 8, which is 22. Está bien. Plus 6. And you should get 28. And again, where's the decimal point in the number 28? It's at the back behind the 8. And when you have
Hola, ¿dónde está María? Aquí.
Okay, when you have the griddable and you have to grid this in, the number would be 28. It doesn't have a decimal point written. You always put it at the back. Decimal point on the chart is there. So you have to have the 8 in the 1's place, the 2 in the 10's place. All right, so that one done. Let's look at another one. ¿Quieres hacer mi video?
¿Perdón?
¿Quieres hacer mi video?
¿Yo?
Sí. Okay. Okay. All right.
Yo no sé matemáticas.
Oh.
No.
Tú puedes. Yo soy un maestro muy bien.
Oh, okay.
Si tú eres en mi clase, yo puedo, o tú vas a ser muy inteligente en matemáticas.
Okay.
All right, so let's do 432 and 8 tenths divided by 10. 432 and 8 tenths divided by 10. All right, we're dividing, which means I need to make this number smaller. We're dividing by a power of 10, which is just 10. There's 1 0 in 10. Division means I move my decimal point to the left. I move it to the left one time. So I should get 43 and 28 hundredths. Didn't even have to do any math if I know my powers of 10. 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. When you go to grid it, you need to have the 43 directly in front of the decimal point, the 28 directly behind it, and then make sure you bubble in. If you don't bubble in the correct number, the computer doesn't just read this. It reads at what you bubble in. So make sure you bubble in correctly. All right, done with that one. Let's cross that one off. Let's do 312 hundredths. 300 and 12 hundredths. Subtract 270 and 6 tenths. Okay, now let's first, if we estimate in this problem, which you should do, a little thinking before every problem. We have about 300 subtracting about 270. So your answer should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 30. So if you do this problem and don't get somewhere in the neighborhood of 30, you are doing something incorrect, and we don't want to do that. Subtracting decimals or adding decimals, we line up the decimal points. So you have 300 and 12 hundredths. Subtract 270 and 6 tenths. Then we put in our magic 0 to hold the place. We need to hold the place. Then we just follow our same rules. My decimal point comes straight down. 2 minus 0 is 2. 1 minus 6 can't do. We have to come all the way over here. That becomes a 2. This would become a 10. But we still, so we have to make this a 9. Then this becomes a 10. But I still can't. So then this becomes a 9. And this becomes an 11. 11 minus 6 is 5. 9 minus 0 is 9. 9 minus 7 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. So we have 29 and 52 hundredths, which is near our estimate of 30. Okay, we could always take this and add this, and we should get this if we wanted to do the inverse operation. So again, when bubbling, you line it up with the decimal point. It should be 29 and 52 hundredths. So it should look like that when you bubble it in. Make sure you're bubbling in the circles with the numbers on them correctly, because that is what the machine that grades it is looking for. If you don't bubble in correctly, even if you have the right answer, it's going to get it wrong. So let's do 67 and 5 tenths times 3 and 2 tenths. And 5 tenths. All right, now what I have told you to do is we just multiply them, ignoring the decimal points first. So you have 675 times 32. And we just we multiply this like normal. We don't worry about the decimal points until we get to the end. Make sense? We're going to start with the 2 because it's in the ones place. 2 times 5 is 10. Put the 0 there, carry the 1. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. Carry the 1. 2 times 6 is 12. Plus 1 is 13. Now we're done with our ones place. Since the 3 is in the tens place, we need our first product to then be in the tens place. I'm done with these carries. 3 times 5 is 15. Carry the 1. 3 times 7 is 21. Plus 1 is 22. 3 times 6 is 18. Plus 2 is 20. I have my two products. I need to find the sum of those two products. I have 0, 10, carry the 1. 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. There are two numbers behind the... Oh, not there. Two numbers behind the decimal point in the problem. There need to be two numbers behind it in the answer. So it needs to come over here and go 216, and making sure you bubble correctly. Now, if you didn't bubble anything behind the decimal point, the tenths and the hundredths place, then you'd be fine. So don't worry about that. Just making sure you put your numbers in the correct columns so that they're in the correct place value. Es importante. All right, we've done that one. Looks like we have, according to my calculation, 4 more maybe. So let's jump over here and do 1/4 plus 7 tenths. I may have mentioned in the past, but I want these written vertically. Then, can we add these like they're written? No, we cannot. We need to find the common denominator. So, you can find your common denominator, and some of you found 40 when I was watching you do it. The least common denominator is actually 20. You could use 40, that's fine. You're just going to have to simplify it more. So now we have to change 1/4 to something over 20 without changing the value. Change 7/10 to something over 20 without changing the value. So what did I multiply by 4 to get 20? I multiplied 5. And since I want this fraction to equal 1, 5/5. So this is going to be 5/20. What did I multiply by 10 to get 20? It is 2. So this is going to be 2 over 2, which makes it 14/20. It is an addition problem. We only add the numerators, denominator stays the same. 19/20. If the numerator and the denominator are within 1 and it's a proper fraction, then it's already simplified. No worries. I gotta go yell at the kids next door. Don't go anywhere. I'm back. Did you miss me? Probably not. I know Kelly didn't miss me. Kelly never misses me. Miss Scott, I bet, missed me, though. Miss Scott hates it when I'm not in the room. All right, so we've done that problem. Let's do 5/6 minus 1/2. And again, on your paper, it's written horizontally. I want it written vertically. We don't have a common denominator for 2 or 6, since we've done 4,286 problems that have a denominator of 2 or 6, and we had to find the common denominator. We know that the common denominator is 6. Since we have 6 as our common denominator, this one is already a fraction with a denominator of 6, so it's going to stay the same. This one does not have a denominator of 6, so we need to multiply it by a fraction that equals 1 so that we don't change the value. We're just changing the way it's written. Like 10 dimes equals $1, 4 quarters equals $1. We're just saying it different ways, but it has the same value. So what do we multiply by 2 to get 6? We multiply by 3. I need the fraction to equal 1, so it's got to be 3/3. 1 times 3 is 3. This is a subtraction problem. 5/6 subtract 3/6 is 2/6. But wait, I can't find that answer there. That's because you need to simplify. You simplify, we'll find all our factor pairs for 2 and 6. Two is a prime number, so the only factors of 2 are 1 and 2. 6 is composite, so it has 1 times 6 and 2 times 3, which tells me our greatest common factor is 2, which means I can divide my numerator and denominator by 2, because 2 equals 1. That doesn't change the value. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Boom. Shakalaka. Alright, so that one's done. We got 2 more on the front. You'll notice I'm not doing this in order, so hopefully you wrote down the problems so that you know what we're doing here. I'm just saying, let's do 7 5/10 times 34 9/10. 7 5/10 times 34 9/10. Multiplying with decimals, we rewrite them like a normal multiplication problem. leaving the decimals out. We leave the decimals out till we get to the answer. We don't worry about the decimal points until we found the product of these numbers here, these two factors. 9 times 5 is 45, 4, 24, 4, 2, 15, 17. So the product of 349 and 5 is 1,745. So now we're moving into the tens place. We use the 7 because it's in the tens place. 7 times 9 is 63. 6. 7 times 4 is 28. Plus 6 is 34. Carry the 3. 7 times 3 is 21. Plus 3, 24. We find the sum of our two products. We have 5, 7, 11, 6, 2. There are two numbers behind the decimal point in the problem. There need to be two numbers behind the decimal point in the answer, which means my 2 is in my hundreds place, 6 in my tens place, 1 in my ones place, 7 in my tenths, 5 in my hundredths, and we make sure we bubble in correctly. Some such and so on and whatnot. I believe we have one more if I've crossed off correctly. $672.49. Divided by 7. So that means we have $672.49 divided by 7. If I rounded this to 700, 700 divided by 7 would give me an answer of 100. So I'm looking to be in the general vicinity of 100. It's going to be less than 100 because this is less than 700. So I'm dividing 7 into something less than 700. So that means my quotient is going to be smaller. So when I take my dividend, my divisor, when I'm dividing with fraction or with decimal points, my decimal point moves straight up. I know my multiples of 7. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, 70. So I know those. Does 7 go into 6? No. Does 7 go into 67? Yes, it does. 9 times. 9 times 7 is 63. Subtract, you're going to get a 4. We bring down our 2. Now we know we had a number over the 7, which means I need a number in the ones place, the tenths place, and the hundredths place. I can't leave any of them blank. That Minecraft club is loud over there. Okay, so after I subtract and I bring down my 2, does 7 go into 42? Yes, 6 times. 6 times 7 is 42. Subtract, we get a 0. We bring down the 4. I have to have a number above that 4. 7 doesn't go into that 4. So that means I put the 0 up here. Then 0 times 7 is 0. I was listening to him. I went over and yelled at him twice. No, I'm just messing. I didn't have to yell at him. 7 goes into 49 7 times. 7 times 7 is 49. Subtract 0. So your answer, which we said we wanted it to be close to 100, using some mental math here, is $96.07, which means we bubble this in such as that, making sure we bubble in the correct number, because the machine, when it scans it, it's not going to read here, it's going to read what's bubbled. Now, if I did everything correctly, that should be all of the questions on the test. You should have all of the answers to all of the test questions, and you should get 100. Probably Tuesday. Now, you make sure you bring that to class, because what if I decide to give it Monday? So you bring it to class every day. Got to answer my phone. Boom, shakalaka, peace out, love y'all.